Good morning, Rye Commute. It's Monday. And this is your commute, and this is your commute, and this is your commute, and these two could also be your commute. When we were thinking about this project, one of the biggest definitions we knew we had to tackle was what actually is commuting. We can easily say GO trains are a form of commuting, and we know that driving is a form of commuting, along with public transit like the TTC. And to some extent, many people will say that bicycling is a form of commuting, though I'm sure there's people who have their own thoughts on that. So first, a quick history lesson. Commuting is defined as regular travel between a place of residence and a place of work or study. It sometimes refers to any regular travel, often repeated between two locations that may or may not be work-related. The word commuter derives from early rail travel in U.S. cities like New York, Philadelphia, Boston, and Chicago. There, in the 1840s, railways, using an earlier definition of the word commute, that is to transform from one form of payment to another, began offering tickets which covered unlimited travel for multiple days for those in the burgeoning suburbs. In this case, the cost of the ticket per day or per trip would be cheaper for the longer the period you bought your ticket for. Fast forward to the present, and our current usage of the term commute, as well as the creation of the term commuter to mean someone who commutes, stem from this arrangement. Given the historical context, and the fact that our cities have gotten larger and more dense and more connected, I'm often struck by the fuzzy line between commuter and non-commuter. If we go back to our definition of regular travel between one's place of residence and work or school, this easily qualifies bikers, rollerbladers, and longboarders such as myself as commuters. And if we're going to go that far, is walking more than a kilometer or two to school and back a commute? Is commuter status settled by the mode of transportation or the distance traveled? If a 20-minute drive or subway ride can be considered a commute, why not a 20-minute walk? By definition, a 20-minute walk that is regular and often repeated is a commute, so it fits, right? Well, according to StatsCan, it does, as it includes walking in its national census data on commuting to work. I feel like part of the distinction between commuter and non-commuter comes with the overwhelming negativity often associated with the word commute and the experience of commuting. A regular, often repeated trip is by definition something you have to do, not something you want to do. For many of us, commuting is a sacrifice we make to save money on rent, or to find a bigger place, or one in a better neighborhood. And for others, not commuting isn't even a choice for family or financial reasons. So many conversations we have about commuting, and in many ways the whole Rye Commute community, is predicated on this shared form of misery, this thing we must grudgingly accept and quietly deal with. Now, as much as I personally love the TTC, I'll be the first to agree that it can be really overwhelming to be crammed inside of a tin can full of strangers. It can be surprising and downright unsettling to encounter individuals and discussion topics that are well outside your comfort zone. And most of the time, I think commuting is something that, given the freedom to choose, we wouldn't do. So maybe the fact that a 20-minute walk can be enjoyable is a key difference in this discussion. Maybe it's a recognition of the agency we lose when we step into a car or on public transit. The direction and speed of our travel is no longer under our control, and we share the same fate as those we're traveling with. And this got me thinking about the public transit system specifically. The transit system is a lot of things to a lot of people. A necessity, a living hell, a collection of crazy stories, or an avenue of exploration. And when I say a lot of people, I really mean a lot of people. Almost 1.7 million trips are made on the TTC every single day. Over the course of a year, the TTC will see 525 million trips. That is over 200 times the size of Toronto. Now, anything remotely close to a million is an incredibly hard number to grasp, so I'm going to give you a bit of context by providing a physical example of just how big that is. 1 million digits printed at font 8 size stretches almost 1.7 kilometers. That's the distance from Yonge and Dundas to Yonge and Bloor. That is how big a million is. And this is where I was thinking. The TTC carries these millions of people every day, and save for the odd coincidence or direct commuting route overlap, they're all strangers to me. Every moment you're waiting for a subway, bus, or streetcar, every moment an unannounced delay occurs, you're sharing that experience with thousands across the city, and millions within a few short days. Millions of people you will never know, never learn from, never understand, or never trust. And this makes me think about the weird place that cities are. Today we exist in population densities unheard of for the majority of civilization. If you were to meet one new person every day of your life and live to 80, do you know how many people you would meet? 29,200. The capacity of a TTC subway car is 1,000 people, and during rush periods, cars come every 2 to 3 minutes. This means you'd only need to sit down for half of a 3-hour lecture to watch everyone you'll ever hope to meet in your life fly past you. Everyone you could ever hope to meet in 30 subway cars, and that's not the crazy part. Dunbar's number is a suggested cognitive limit for how many people we can maintain stable social relationships with. These are relationships in which you know each person and how each person connects to each other, and with whom you keep social contact with. Robin Dunbar, the anthropologist who proposed this, puts the number at 150. Can you guess how many fit in a subway car? 180. In a single subway car is everyone in your stable social circles. Everyone you might honestly call a friend. So the next time you find yourself a begrudging commuter, reach back to an older definition of the word commute, one that means to substitute or exchange, and imagine that fancy tin can filled with all the people you might want to call friend. Who makes the cut and why? Filling out the first 20 or 50 might be easy, but how good of a friend are you to the other 100? Who do you want in that car that might not be there now? It's an interesting exercise that might help you commute your commute to something a bit more meaningful. See you on Friday.